Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the student section, where you'll be getting the best sports coverage SGTV has to offer. My name is Calvin DeLude, and I'll be joined by Austin McConnell, Jalen Long, and Zander Collins. In today's show, we'll be covering the latest in the NFL, NASCAR, Premier League soccer, and more. Let's start off by talking some college football. I have Austin, Jalen, and Zander lined up. Gentlemen, we are heading into week 6 of the college football season, so I want to know, who do you have hoisting the Heisman Trophy at the end of the season?
Well, I'll start. I think Dante Moore has been absolutely phenomenal this season for Oregon. He has over 1,200 yards already, 14 touchdowns, and only 1 interception to go along with it, and that was at Northwestern on the road. So tough, weird Big Ten game, but just got the win over Penn State in Beaver Stadium during the whiteout. I mean, that's no easy task. And now they're up to number 2 in the country, so give me Dante Moore.
I'm going to have to say Lenora Sellers. Though the answer may seem biased, the statistics don't 100% back it up. He has about 1,000 yards total, 5 touchdowns, only 1 turnover. But I think I say Lenore's because the Gamecocks have no identity without Lenore's. And when you cut on the film and you see the highlight plays, it screams Heisman.
Gentlemen, when I think Heisman, I think the best player in college football. And for me, that is Jeremiah Smith, the receiver out of Ohio State. In just 4 games this season in which he's undefeated, he has 28 receptions, 396 yards, and 4 touchdowns, averaging a little bit over 14 yards per reception. I think that he's on pace, not quite to the levels of 2020 Devonta Smith, but something very, very close. And I think with him having all the team success on his side and Ohio State being the number 1 team in the country with good odds to repeat, I think that he'll have a great season, and that's my pick.
Some sound logic there, gentlemen. I'm going to have to agree with Austin, though. I think Dante Moore has been balling out for Oregon, and you saw it on full display in one of the toughest environments in college football. Speaking of tough environments in college football, let's talk about our Gamecocks. What are your guys' thoughts on South Carolina's victory over Kentucky this past weekend?
I've got to say, it was a complimentary win by the team. Special teams, defense, offense contributed, but I will still say the offense has got to pick it up. A lot of what we've seen, it was the defense. They had 2 defensive touchdowns. I would like to see much more from the offense, getting Nick Harbor involved, getting Mazeo Bennett involved. Once we see that, I think this team has the opportunity to truly be special.
Yeah, that defense looked really good on Saturday night. They scored 2 touchdowns. They scored more than the Kentucky Wildcats offense did. So that's obviously a great sign. Special teams did great as well. But yeah, you mentioned it. The offense has been continued to be a struggle. They only scored 21 points offensively against the worst team in the SEC. That can't really be happening. Rasul Faison looked good. He got the run game going finally. It's the first time we've really seen the Gamecocks run the ball that well in a long time. A lot of things they still need to clean up, a lot of things, but much needed win.
Yeah, speaking of that cleanup, the penalty yards not great again for the 2nd week in a row. But I do think things looked a little bit more encouraging for the Gamecocks. Things looked a little bit shaky after that first Kentucky drive, and I will admit I was worried, but like you guys mentioned, the defense picked things up. Player I wanted to highlight was Brian Thomas Jr., 2 sacks in that one. It's easy to look at the defensive touchdowns and say those were great plays, but I think Brian Thomas was the best player out there.
Co-defensive player of the week.
Yeah. So like Jalen said, I think the offense needs to pick things up and limit those penalty yards, but the defense looked really solid and looked a lot more like what we expected at the beginning of the season.
All right, that's going to do it for college football talk. Now I'd like to take a quick look at the MLB playoffs. October baseball is a magical thing, and I don't think this postseason is going to be any different. I'm going to do my best to cover it perfect, but there are currently games being played, and we air 2 days after shooting. But that's not going to stop us, so let's take a look at this playoff bracket. An electric wildcard round for the AL with 2 division rivals facing off. I think the Guardians are going to come away with their series after an electric Game 2 victory. The winner of this series will go on to face MVP candidate Cal Raleigh and his Seattle Mariners. While the Red Sox are currently facing off against the Yankees to clinch the series and punch their ticket to play the AL East champion Blue Jays, so either way, we'll be seeing another AL East rivalry. As for the National League, the Padres and the Cubs are even split at 1 game apiece as we're recording this. I see the Cubs winning it despite dropping a loss today and going on to face the team with the best record in baseball this year, the Milwaukee Brewers. Then in Los Angeles, the Dodgers look to close out the series against Cincinnati tonight after trouncing them 10-5 on Tuesday night, with Ohtani and Hernandez both hitting 2 dingers. I see the reigning champs sweeping the wild card and heading to the divisional against the Phillies. I'm super excited to see how these MLB playoffs turn out, but now, enough of me talking. Let's go to Austin McConnell in the Hot Lap.
Welcome to the Hot Lap, the student section's NASCAR segment. I'm Austin McConnell. This week and every week until the end of the season, I will be breaking down and previewing the NASCAR races of the week. The Cup Series is currently in the midst of the playoffs, and the round of 12 is currently in progress. For those who don't know how the NASCAR playoffs work, 16 drivers make the playoff field. After 3 races, the top 12 in points move on to the next round. After 3 more, the final 8, then 3 more to solidify the top 4. The final 4 drivers compete in a one-race showdown where the top finisher amongst the championship contenders is crowned the NASCAR champion for the season. If you win, you automatically advance to the next round. And last weekend, we saw the dramatics heating up as drivers beat and banged to the finish line on the final lap. Denny Hamlin is still vying for his first Cup Series championship, and it looked like he was going to help his case by winning at Kansas. He led the most laps out of any driver on Sunday and was in prime position to see the checker flag first. But when Kyle Busch lost a tire, bringing out a late race caution, the others caught up and went toe-to-toe in a 2-lap NASCAR overtime finish. Denny Hamlin co-owns the race team 2311 with Michael Jordan, and Hamlin was side-by-side with Bubba Wallace, one of his own drivers, for the win in the final turn. Hamlin moved Wallace up the track, and Wallace got into the wall. This move allowed Chase Elliott to sneak by and win the race, locking himself into the round of 8. After a very exciting race in Kansas, we now head to Charlotte for the final race in the round of 12. Shane Van Gisbergen has been dominant on the road courses this year, but with 10 drivers trying to avoid elimination, the gloves will be off and it's going to be a dogfight. My pick to win is Van Gisbergen, but I'll be intrigued to watch the points battle between Joey Logano and Ross Chastain. It's currently a 13-point swing on the cut line, and both drivers will have to execute on Sunday. I know I'll be there, so check out the race on USA Network at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's all I've got from the track this week. Be sure to take a lap with me next week to see how the round of 12 shakes up even more. And now, we're throwing it over to the 2-minute drill.
Welcome to the 2-minute drill. I'm Jalen.
And I'm Calvin.
Let's take a look back at week 4. There was a lot of good football being played, but who impressed you the most, Cal?
Well, Jalen, it pains me to say this as a Seahawks fan, but I'm going to have to say the LA Rams. Facing Daniel Jones, who's been red hot this season, the Rams defense forced him to throw 2 picks. As for the offense, Puka Nacua is on pace to shatter Michael Thomas's receptions record, and Matthew Stafford looks like an MVP candidate at age 37. So I'm very scared of the Rams this season. But what about you, Jalen?
I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs. After a slow start to the season, they dominated the Ravens at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes had 275 total yards with 4 passing touchdowns to 4 different wide receivers. The team won 37-20, but the game was never really that close. Around the league, a lot happened in week 4. Giant star wide receiver Malik Neighbors tore his ACL on the infamous turf at MetLife Stadium. A day later, Tyreek Hill dislocated his knee, tore multiple ligaments, and tore his ACL. As Hill was carting off, he was smiling. I wonder what that was about. What are your thoughts on that, Cal?
Well, you know, it's always disappointing when 2 elite receivers go down like that, especially someone young like Malik Neighbors and another injury suffered at MetLife Stadium. I'm very curious to see what the NFL does about that with yet another injury. As we wrap up, let's preview our game of the week. Across the nation in the Pacific Northwest, where the Buccaneers and Seahawks will be facing off in the greatest jersey combo of all time. Jalen, you know I got to go with my Seahawks. Sam Darnold is currently ranked as PFF's best quarterback in the league this season. The defense is at full strength for the first time since week 1, and the Bucs have not been able to stay consistent through 60 minutes. I say the Seahawks are going to come out and win a nail-biter.
Though it pains me to say it, I'm going to have to agree with you, Cal. The Bucs are potentially going to be without their top wide receiver, Mike Evans, and their starting running back, Bucky Irvin. With the way that the Seahawks defense has been performing this season, I do not see Baker being able to overcome that Seattle defense. I'm going to say Seattle 24-21. Thanks for tuning in to the 2-minute warning. Let's send it over to Zander for Top Bins.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Top Bins, the student section's premier soccer segment. I'm Zander Collins, and today we'll be covering some of the best matches from the weekend in the English top flight. Let's take to the pitch. We kick things off at the Etihad, where Manchester City ran riot in a 5-1 thrashing of Burnley. Manchester City welcomed home longtime player and former captain Kyle Walker, but the return was anything but special for the English fullback as he struggled all day while defending Man City's tricky winger Jeremy Doku. It took a while for City star man Erling Haaland to make his mark on the game, but after the 90th minute, he was able to grab a brace, bringing him to 8 goals for the season and separating him further atop the Golden Boot race. Also with a brace on the day was Burnley center back Maxime Esteve. His 2 own goals and volley from Mateus Nunes added to the 5-1 scoreline. Next up, we head to Selhurst Park, where Crystal Palace grabbed a late winner to break Liverpool's perfect start, resulting in the Eagles remaining the last unbeaten team in the Prem. Palace took an early lead in the 9th minute through an Ismail Assar goal, and Liverpool were unable to equalize until the 87th minute through another late Federico Chiesa goal. Crystal Palace saw little possession during the match and were ready to leave with a point before seeing the 6 minutes added on to the end of the 90. After defending multiple Liverpool attacks, the Eagles saw themselves with a set piece in a dangerous area that Mark Gahey was able to head down to Eddie Nketiah to net the winner. Ollie Glasner's men pulled off the massive upset, much like they did in the Community Shield earlier this season, and remain the only unbeaten team in England as they move up to 3rd in the table. Thank you so much for watching Top Bins, and I'll see you on the pitch next week. Calvin told me he's got something special planned, but I'm not quite sure, so I'll just throw it to him.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Calzone, where we'll be discussing Italian athletes and sports while eating a calzone. And I would like to preface this by saying I don't have a lick of Italian heritage in my bloodline, and also we did not get any silverware, so I will be eating this with my bare hands. But this week, we'll be talking about Anthony Rizzo, and the calzone is Italian from Eddie's Calzones. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Anthony Rizzo announced his retirement from the MLB on September 10th after a 14-year career. Rizzo isn't done with baseball, though, so he'll be signing on with the Cubs as an ambassador. Chicago hosted a special retirement ceremony for Rizzo at Wrigley Field on September 13th. Rizzo finishes a stellar career with 1,644 hits, 303 homers, and a World Series championship with the Chicago Cubs in 2016. Arrivederci, Anthony Rizzo. You will be missed by fans worldwide. Man, that calzone sure was tasty. Thank you, Eddie's. I give it a 10 out of 10. Okay, gentlemen, welcome to Flag on the Play. It was an exciting week in sports and a lot happened, but I want to know what made you mad. So tell me, what are you throwing the flag on this week, guys?
I've got to say, the Baltimore Ravens, for you to be a top team in the AFC, go up to Arrowhead, I mean, it's still early in the season, not too many people are injured. How do you get embarrassed like that? And for Lamar Jackson, I mean, I'm not sure, he may actually have damaged his hamstring, but to me, that was more so his fancy way of pulling himself out of the game because, well, they were just getting beat too bad. So I would say, flag on the play, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, the Ravens off to a poor start. I'm going to bring things back to the Premier League now. Arsenal get a late winner through Gabriel after the 96th minute. It seems like we never are able to see all the big teams go down at once. Obviously, Liverpool dropping points to Crystal Palace and Arsenal able to squeak out a victory. So it makes the title race a little bit more annoying for City fans like myself. Flag on the play for Arsenal's late winner.
Yeah, I'm going to take it back to American football, if you will. I'm going to go Penn State, specifically James Franklin, Drew Aller combo. I've been lucky enough to have the chance to meet James Franklin, and he is such a great guy, super nice, very humble. Just can't win the big games. I was really hoping they would pull, kind of crush that narrative and beat Oregon in the night game whiteout for the first time in a couple years. And they couldn't get it done. Drew Aller tries to force something there in overtime, throws an interception, and James Franklin is now, I think, 4-20 against top 10 teams, and that's not good at all when you're supposed to be the Big Ten front runners every year. So my flag on the play, Penn State football.
Those are some good takes there, gentlemen. The only thing I'm throwing the flag on this week is my fantasy football team. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, X, and Twitter at SGTV at USC. Also keep track of all of our online content at SGTV at USC.com. I'm Calvin DeLude with Austin McConnell, Jalen Long, and Zander Collins. And we'll see you next time on
The Student Section.